What's up, guys? Welcome to Knocks Out Comics, where I talk all things comics and manga. I'm Jay, and today I'm going to be wrapping up the second volume of Grimm Fairy Tales. We begin in the high school biology class taught by Sella, where a frog is being dissected and two teenagers, Neville and Lizette, are paired together. Neville has a crush on Lizette and does her homework for her. As the two begin the dissection, Lizette says she's squeamish by it. This is enough to get Neville to do most of the work. She apparently promised to go out for lattes with him, and when he asks when, she deflects the question, asking why he wears a scarf every day. He pulls it away, showing her his birthmark. She's grossed out by this and leaves. Sella follows her and gives her the story of the Frog Prince to read. The story introduces a vain princess named Calliope, who travels to a well in the forest that she feels can properly show her beauty. While she's looking down, the gem on her tiara falls into the water, and it's retrieved by a frog who offers it back to her if she's willing to be his friend. She initially agrees but goes back on her word and leaves without him. The frog shows up later, and Calliope's father insists that she honor her agreement. She takes the frog to her room to sleep for the night, but when he asks to sleep in the warm bed, at first she allows it, but then she throws him against the window frame, causing him to fall outside, seemingly to his death. He's rescued by one of his assistants and dropped into the well, where he completes his transformation into a human. He visits the princess and asks her for her hand in marriage, but as they leave, he offers her a drink from his well. Although she insists she's beautiful on the inside and out, she drinks the water, and her lies, cruel behavior, and vanity causes her to turn into a frog. The issue switches back to Lizette. She hasn't learned her lesson and even sasses Sella, which is a big no-no. After drinking from the fountain, Lizette comments on it tasting funny. Meanwhile, in class, Sella comforts Neville. She knows he wrote Lizette's report for her so that she would like him. Sella lets him know that there is nothing wrong with him. There's only something wrong with people that think there's something wrong with them, and to be careful next time. We end the issue seeing Lizette has an outbreak of warts all over her body. Then we're introduced to Debbie, a woman who hires a private investigator to see if her husband Tom is having an affair. She sees evidence and is devastated. To make matters worse, Debbie believes Tom is trying to kill her as well. Later we learn that Debbie is a teacher and co-worker of Sella, because of course she is. Sella sees Debbie has something on her mind, and Debbie ends up telling her everything that's going on with her. Sella gives her that famous fairy tale book and has her read the story of Bluebeard. In the story, Bluebeard moves to a deserted castle and claims that it's his birthright. He sends the message that he's looking for a bride, yet most are apprehensive to him because he's a mysterious stranger. Eventually, one woman comes forward and says she'll marry him, and the two get married the next day. Bluebeard reveals that she can have everything if she has his trust. He leaves her alone as he heads off on business and leaves the keys to the castle, telling her that she can look in all the rooms except for one. After 3 days, though, her curiosity gets the best of her. She enters the room and finds mutilated bodies of women. When he returns, he confronts her, and she grabs a knife and runs to the basement, where he follows her and she stabs him. The issue cuts back to Debbie. She stops reading because she's too disturbed, and when Tom comes home with a surprise trip, she grabs a knife as they head off. He takes her to a secluded barn. Believing this to be the big moment, she stabs him before he can kill her, only to realize Tom never had an affair or was trying to kill her. He was throwing her a surprise party. Meanwhile, Sella is upset that Debbie didn't finish the story. The story reveals that as Bluebeard was bleeding to death, he tells his bride that the images of the mutilated women were just an illusion, which caused the bride to see what she suspected. Through this, she realizes that she betrayed him and acted on her impulses. And last we meet Neil and Chad, two brothers who are discussing the consequences of Neil's actions. He was embezzling money and now plans to have a hitman kill Abrams, the man who's supposed to testify against him. And if you don't think Neil could get any more unlikable, wait, there's more. He decides he's not going to pay the full price for the hitman's services. Chad is rightfully concerned about the whole situation and suggests Neil just turn himself in. Sella shows up and attempts to talk to Chad, but Neil intervenes in his now typical douchebag way. Sella leaves, leaving behind her book, while Neil goes off to hustle some guys playing pool because he's the douchiest of the douches. Chad begins to read the story of the Pied Piper. This story also features two brothers, and they discuss how to deal with their problems of large carnivorous rats attacking the city. They initially hesitate against using the offer of the Pied Piper as they deem it too expensive, but after another attack, they agree. The one brother decides to underpay the Pied Piper, but also keep some of the excess money for himself. The younger brother doesn't agree because of the potential repercussions that can go along with this, but goes along with it because of the pressure from his older brother. The Pied Piper is not happy, but he leaves. The townspeople soon wake up to find out that all the children in town had been led away by the Piper, and the two brothers must go bargain for their release. The children are returned, but they find out that the Pied Piper had cursed them to where they would turn into rats at night. When Chad's done reading, he decides that Neil must turn himself in, and wants no part of this whole scandal. Unfortunately, Chad receives a phone call from the hitman demanding the rest of his money, and the hitman tells him that he kidnapped Neil and Chad's son Mark. At the conclusion of the issue, to prove he's not messing around, the hitman sends Chad both of Neil's ears, saying that he didn't need them because he wasn't listening. And that just about covers the second volume of Grimm Fairy Tales. The third volume is going to be covered Sunday, and it's also going to be a two-parter. So if you like this video and want to continue along, like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell. Talk to me in the comments. I'll see you guys next time.